42% of American teenagers now meet the clinical criteria for an anxiety disorder. 42%. That's nearly half of every high school hallway in this country. And it's not just teenagers. Researchers at the American Psychological Association have been tracking a sharp rise in anxiety symptoms in children as young as 6. 6 years old. Kids who should be worried about nothing heavier than whether it'll rain on their birthday. So we built a world designed to keep our children safe. Car seats with 5-point harnesses, helmets for bikes, for scooters, for simply existing outdoors, tracking apps so we know where they are at every minute. We padded the playgrounds, we banned dodgeball, we chaperoned every playdate. And somehow, we ended up with the most anxious generation of young people this country has ever recorded. Generation Z, the most anxious generation in American history. Now, I want you to picture something completely different. Tokyo, rush hour. A 4-year-old boy, tiny in a little yellow hat, a school satchel almost bigger than he is, boards a subway train, alone. He clutches a hand-scrawled note from his mother. He's going to pick up tofu from the market 2 stops away. He navigates the turnstile. He asks a stranger for help reading the platform sign. He completes his errand, takes his change, rides home, and proudly hands over the tofu like he's just summited Everest. Tokyo, Japan, where children routinely navigate cities alone from age 4. That boy is not anxious. He's the opposite of anxious. He's capable, proud, and secure. And the reason he feels that way has almost nothing to do with the absence of danger. Tokyo is a city of 14 million people, and almost everything to do with how Japan raises its children from the very first day of their lives. So what are they doing that we're not? That's exactly what we're going to get into. And I promise you, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. What do we think causes kid anxiety? Ask most American parents what's making their kids anxious, and you'll get a pretty consistent list. Screen time, social media, bullying, school shootings, academic pressure. And look, those things are real. I'm not dismissing them for a second, but here's the uncomfortable part. Researchers who study childhood anxiety for a living say those factors, while contributing, are not the root cause. They're the kindling. Something else is the spark. Dr. Peter Gray, a developmental psychologist at Boston College who has spent decades studying play and child autonomy, argues that the single most predictive factor for childhood anxiety isn't what children are exposed to. It's what they're deprived of. Specifically, the experience of managing their own lives, of facing small challenges without a parent hovering 3 feet away, ready to solve everything. In 1970, the average American child had 6+ hours of unsupervised play per day. Today, less than 1 hour. There's a second layer here, and it's one that rarely gets talked about openly. Parental anxiety is contagious, not metaphorically, literally neurologically contagious. Children's nervous systems are calibrated by the adults around them. When a parent is chronically stressed, hypervigilant, and terrified of the world, their child's amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, learns to mirror that state. The parent's anxiety teaches the child's brain that the world is fundamentally dangerous. And American parents, through absolutely no fault of their own, are some of the most anxiety-ridden parents on Earth. A 2022 Pew Research survey found that 70% of American parents said they worry a lot about their child's mental health, which is extraordinarily ironic. The more we worry about our kids' anxiety, the more anxious we become, and the more that anxiety transmits downward. And here's where it gets really important. The American social structure doesn't help. We've built a culture of radical individual isolation. You are responsible for your children. Only you. Your neighborhood, your school district, your pediatrician, all of them operate under a liability-driven, what if something goes wrong and it's your fault framework that has made basic childhood freedoms legally and socially terrifying for parents. In some states, parents have been investigated by Child Protective Services for letting their 8-year-old walk 2 blocks to school alone. Japan operates from a fundamentally different premise, and understanding that premise changes everything. Japanese concept: to depend and presume on another's love and benevolence. In 1971, Japanese psychiatrist Dr. Takeo Doi published a book that shook the cross-cultural psychology world. It was called The Anatomy of Dependence. And in it, he introduced the Western world to a concept that Japanese society had operated on for centuries: amae. Amae doesn't have a clean English translation, which is itself revealing. The closest approximation is something like the freedom to presume on another's love, a secure, deep, unconditional reliance on a caregiver. In Japanese child rearing, this dependence is not just accepted, it's celebrated, welcomed, seen as the natural and necessary foundation of a healthy human being. A Japanese infant will often sleep in the family bed until age 4 or 5. A Japanese mother carries her baby against her body, not propped in a bouncer facing the ceiling, for most of the first year of life. When a toddler cries in Japan, the cultural instinct is not to let them self-soothe or build independence. It is to respond warmly, immediately, consistently. Co-sleeping rates: Japan approximately 70%, United States approximately 13%. Now contrast that with the American approach. We are culturally, deeply, sometimes almost religiously committed to the idea that children need to be made independent as fast as humanly possible. We sleep train infants at 4 months. We celebrate toddlers who play independently for long stretches. We read articles about how giving your child too much attention will spoil them. We tell children to use your words before they've even fully developed the language centers to do so. And this is where the research becomes uncomfortable for American parents, because the science is not on our side here. Developmental psychologist John Bowlby's landmark attachment theory, one of the most replicated findings in all of child psychology, tells us exactly this. A child who is allowed to be fully, securely dependent in their early years is dramatically more likely to become genuinely independent in their later ones. Security comes before independence. It does not compete with it. Think of it like a diving board. You can only leap confidently outward into the unknown if you are absolutely certain the board beneath your feet is solid. For a child, that board is their parents. Japanese children are raised knowing, in their bones, in their nervous systems, that the board is solid. So when the time comes to leap, they leap without fear. American children, raised to be independent before their attachment systems are fully formed, often spend their entire childhoods unconsciously checking, is the board solid? Can I trust it? What if it breaks? That constant checking is clinically anxiety. This doesn't mean American parents don't love their children. They love them fiercely, often to the point of total self-sacrifice. But love expressed through anxious monitoring and premature push toward independence feels, to a child's nervous system, less like a solid board and more like a wobbly one. The intention is warmth. The nervous system experiences vigilance. Since 1991, Japan has aired one of the most fascinating television programs in the world. It's called Hajimete no Otsukai, which translates roughly to My First Errand. The premise is simple. A camera crew discreetly follows a very young child. We're talking 3, 4, 5 years old, as they complete a real errand alone for the first time, going to the grocery store, picking up dry cleaning, delivering something to a neighbor. The show has been running for over 30 years. 30 years. It is beloved. It is heartwarming. And to American eyes, it is absolutely terrifying. A 4-year-old alone navigating a city. How is that not a national scandal? The answer has 2 parts. The first is infrastructure. Japanese cities, Tokyo especially, are built for pedestrians and cyclists. Public transit is reliable, legible, and ubiquitous. Children can walk to school, to the market, to a friend's house without crossing 6 lanes of a highway. American suburbs, designed almost entirely around the car, have made independent childhood movement nearly physically impossible. You cannot let your 8-year-old walk to the store if the store is 4 miles away on a road with no sidewalks. In Japan, 50% of children commute to school independently. In the US, fewer than 13%. The second part is philosophy. In Japan, there's a deeply held cultural belief that children become capable by doing, not by being protected from doing. The challenge is the point. The errand isn't about getting the tofu. It's about the child discovering that they can navigate complexity, manage failure, ask for help from a stranger, and arrive home successful. That discovery, I can do hard things, is the neurological opposite of anxiety. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, and it's one of the most powerful anxiety inoculants we know of. When a child has a rich bank of experiences where they tackled something hard and succeeded, their brain develops a fundamentally different relationship with challenge. Challenge becomes interesting rather than threatening. Uncertain situations trigger curiosity rather than panic. Meanwhile, American children, carpooled to school, monitored on playdates, never permitted to fail without an adult intervening, are building the opposite bank. They're accumulating experiences of rescue rather than resolution, and their nervous systems are learning. When things get hard, I need an adult. I cannot handle this alone. That belief, internalized at 4 years old, doesn't magically reverse itself at 18. We just call it freshman anxiety at college instead. Here's a story that breaks my heart a little. A school counselor in Ohio, I'm going to call her Michelle, told me about a 13-year-old in her school who had a panic attack because she had to call and make her own dentist appointment by phone. She had never placed a real-world administrative phone call in her life. Her parents had done it for her every single time. She was 13, academically brilliant, and genuinely did not believe she could navigate a 45-second phone call with a receptionist. That's not a parenting failure. That's a cultural system that never built her a diving board. Japan's Neighborhood Watch for Children, community adults who volunteer to supervise walking routes daily. There's a famous African proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child." In Japan, this isn't a proverb. It's operational infrastructure. Japanese children who walk to school or complete errands alone are not, in any sociological sense, actually alone. They move through a web of watchful community adults. There are designated crossing guard volunteers, often elderly residents, on every school route. Shopkeepers know the neighborhood children by face. Neighbors watch. The unspoken social contract is clear. These children belong to all of us, and we are all responsible for their safety. This system is called danchi community culture in some areas, and it's reinforced from preschool onward. Japanese children are specifically taught that asking a stranger for help is not dangerous. It's smart. Seeking assistance is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. A child who stops a shopkeeper and says, "Sumimasen, I'm lost," is demonstrating excellent judgment, not inviting danger. Compare that to the American stranger danger framework. For decades, with the absolute best of intentions, we taught American children that strangers were a category of threat. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take anything from strangers. If a stranger approaches you, run. And yes, there are real predatory dangers in the world. I am not dismissing that. But the statistical reality is that the vast majority of harm to children comes from known adults, not strangers. And the collateral damage of the stranger danger campaign has been profound. We raised a generation of children who are socially afraid of the general public, who experience unfamiliar adults as a threat category, and who have no felt sense of belonging to a broader community that would protect them. American parental anxiety isn't irrational. It's the logical output of a system that has stripped away communal safety nets and then told parents, you are individually responsible for preventing all possible harm to your child. That's an impossible mandate. The anxiety is the predictable response to an impossible mandate. American parents spend 30% more time with their children today than in 1965, yet report feeling more anxious about parenting. There's also the economic dimension. American parents, particularly mothers, are often doing this hyper-vigilant parenting work while simultaneously managing careers without the paid parental leave, subsidized childcare, or neighborhood infrastructure that Japanese parents have access to. The anxiety isn't a personality flaw, it's a structural consequence. When a Japanese parent lets their 4-year-old complete an errand alone, they're not reckless. They're operating within a system that genuinely supports that freedom. The streets are walkable, the community is watchful, the cultural permission is there. When an American parent considers doing something equivalent, they're calculating liability, legal risk, CPS, intervention probability, and the social judgment of every other parent on the block. That calculation is exhausting, and it produces in children a mirrored exhaustion. Here's something American parents almost never know about Japanese schools. The students clean them. Every day, students serve lunch to their classmates. They sweep their classrooms. They scrub toilets. This isn't punishment, it's curriculum. The practice is called soji, daily cleaning, and kyushoku, school lunch service. Both are built on the same psychological foundation as the first errand and the amae philosophy. Children become competent, confident, and emotionally regulated by being trusted with genuine responsibility that has genuine consequences for the community they belong to. When a Japanese child serves their classmates their lunch, they're not just ladling soup. They're practicing the experience of being responsible for another person's well-being. When they clean their classroom, they're practicing the experience of taking ownership of shared space. These are not metaphors. These are direct, embodied lessons in competence and community membership. And the psychological effect is measurable. A 2018 study published in the journal Child Development found that children who were regularly given age-appropriate household chores, real ones with real consequences, not just pick up your toys, showed significantly lower rates of anxiety and depression in adolescence. The key variables were two things. The child felt genuinely needed, and they experienced genuine consequences for their actions. American children are often insulated from both of those experiences. They are not needed in any way that feels real to them. The adults handle everything. And consequences are frequently negotiated, softened, or removed altogether. We mean this kindly. We don't want them to suffer, but their nervous systems are wired by evolution to need the experience of mattering, of being genuinely capable, of causing things to happen in their world. Without that, the brain creates its own threat simulations. We call those simulations anxiety. What can American parents actually do? Okay, I know what some of you are thinking. This is wonderful, but I live in a suburb where the nearest store is 3 miles away, and there are no sidewalks, and if my kid walks to school alone, I'll have a CPS investigator at my door by Tuesday. I hear you. The structural barriers are real. I'm not going to pretend you can replicate Tokyo in a cul-de-sac, but the principles, the underlying psychology, are completely portable. Here's what you can actually do, starting this week, without moving to Japan or redesigning American infrastructure. First, let them struggle for 60 seconds before you help. When your child hits a problem, they can't open the jar, can't figure out the homework question, can't get their bike to start. Practice the 60-second rule. Give them 60 seconds of genuine struggle before you intervene, not a condescending, "I'll let you try." Real, confident silence that communicates, "I believe you can figure this out." That silence is not neglect. It's the most powerful message of competence you can send. Second, create a first errand in your own environment. You don't need a Tokyo subway. You need a controlled context where your child navigates something real, alone, for the first time. Maybe that's walking to the neighbor's house to return something. Maybe it's ordering for themselves at a restaurant. No parental backup. Maybe it's going into the grocery store while you wait in the car and with a written list, the exact change, and the expectation that they will figure out what to do if something goes wrong. The key is that it must feel real to them. Not pretend real, actually real, with actual stakes and actual pride at the end. The first errand. Your child doesn't need a city. They need a real challenge. Third, find your village or build a small one. The collective responsibility model doesn't require a Japanese neighborhood. It requires intentionality. Connect with 3 or 4 neighboring families and create explicit verbal agreements to watch out for each other's kids. Let your kids know, Mrs. Rodriguez next door knows you. And if you ever need help, you can go to her. Name the trusted adults in your child's extended world. Give your child permission to access them. This directly counters the stranger danger framework, not by abandoning safety, but by replacing the category of dangerous stranger with a network of known safe adults beyond my parents. That network is what every Japanese child moves through when they navigate their city alone. Fourth, give them real responsibilities that actually matter, not chores as punishment, not token tasks. Real contributions to family functioning that would be genuinely missed if they weren't done. A 7-year-old can be completely responsible for feeding a pet if you let the animal actually go unfed the one time they forget, rather than quietly doing it yourself so no one suffers. A 10-year-old can be responsible for planning and cooking one family dinner a week. A 12-year-old can manage their own laundry, including the consequences of wearing something damp to school because they forgot to move it to the dryer. The dignity of real responsibility is one of the most underrated gifts you can give a child's mental health. Children with real household responsibilities show 25% lower anxiety rates in adolescence. Fifth, and this one is for you, not your child, examine your own anxiety narrative. The single most powerful thing you can do for your child's mental health is to work on your own, because your nervous system is literally their school. If you are chronically in threat detection mode, reading every statistic about kidnapping, tracking their location every hour, imagining worst-case scenarios for every situation, your child's amygdala is receiving that broadcast, loud and clear. This doesn't mean fake calm. Children can smell fake calm. It means genuine, worked-for equanimity, therapy, community, honest conversations with other parents about the shared fear. Whatever it takes to bring your own nervous system's baseline down a few notches. That 4-year-old on the Tokyo subway, he's not fearless because nothing bad can happen to him. He's not fearless because Japan has zero risk. He's fearless because every adult in his world, his parents, his teachers, his neighbors, even the strangers on the street, has communicated something to his nervous system consistently and from the very beginning of his life. You are capable. You belong here. We are watching over you. And when you need us, we are right here. That is not a secret anymore. That is the whole thing, right there. The anxious child isn't weak. The anxious American parent isn't doing it wrong. We are all, parents and children together, trying to thrive in a system that has stripped away the very things human beings need to feel safe: community, competence, and the unshakable sense that we are held. You can start rebuilding those things today. One 60-second pause, one real errand, one honest conversation with a neighbor, one dinner that your kid cooked. Small, consistent, real. That's the whole errand.